Kenya's Rift Valley region is spreading quite fast. This is Naivasha, about 100 kilometers west of Nairobi. It is the latest to be hit by the ethnic violence gripping this country. Armed groups on a revenge mission attacked his house in Kimeumana. There was little traffic on the Nairobi-Naivasha highway, one of the country's major arteries. A few vehicles lined the road was stopped and sucked from members of some activities. Using machetes and other crude weapons, the youth meted out brutal violence against anyone they found.
Good morning to you viewers. I hope you're fine wherever you are. Welcome to Talk to Africa. My name is George. Yesterday, Raila Amolo Odinga's helicopter was stoned when he went to attend a burial in Eldoret of a prominent politician called Mandagor. Do you think this time round in 2022 we will have violence, electoral violence again as we've had in the past? Do you also think that IEBC is doing everything possible and is ready to ensure that we have a credible and peaceful election? I would like you to know that the issue of electoral violence is not just a Kenyan affair. If I may remind you, in the US, Donald Trump and his rhetoric actually caused a situation where basically his extreme right-wing followers stormed the Capitol and almost brought an issue. The issue of interference also, as you remember, Donald Trump had wanted Mike Pence to basically return the results of the counties back to the counties so that, the counties can do a fresh list of electors so that, the results of the Biden-Trump presidential election would be overturned. That matter of electoral violence should not be taken lightly by politicians. And by the way, Kenya is not a very special country. If the USA can have violence and what we saw, which I'm going to show you shortly, then what is Kenya doing? I would like you to watch that clip of violence at the Capitol in US. And
the election being rigged more than 20 times.
The process is rigged.
It's a rigged election.
It's a rigged system. And they take these lies and they put them on front pages.
Trump referring to the growing number of women.
Is this the city? Where the fuck are they?
Look, it's a PR war, okay? You have to understand it's an IO war. We can't lose the IO war.
We're better than that.
It's information operation.
There's gotta be something in here we can fucking use against these scumbags.
Something's wrong out
He's a good one.
To protect the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic!
think the IEBC led by Chilkati will conduct a credible and a peaceful election? On the other hand, do you think our politicians, especially this all pinned down Kenya Kwanza and their rhetoric, are also ready to help tone down the electoral language so that we have a peaceful election this year? If you're watching this program for the first time, kindly subscribe to our channel so that we can grow our membership, encourage us, and we can give you more of these videos. If you like any of our videos, I'll be so happy if you like the same on YouTube. Do you think IEBC will provide a credible, peaceful election, and will we have violence again in this year 2022? You can know a good day early in the morning. Early in this campaign period, 3.5 or so months to elections, we can see the symptoms of a bigger problem in terms of IEBC on one hand and electoral violence and politicians and their campaign on the other hand. Yesterday's incident is a bad sign. And if you remember, Moses Kuria last week was summoned by the IEBC to answer on charges on account of what he had said out there on the campaign trail. On top of his list, when Moses Kuria was asked some questions, he said that IEBC is basically not ready to conduct these elections because they've not complied with court cases and court orders before. Moses Kuria brought in the issue of the servers, that the servers have not been opened yet. And you remember very well, the head of IEBC is still Chebukati. This is a matter that we've talked about in this channel so many times, but politicians have not been able to take it up and address the issue. Moses Kuria yesterday even talked about the kit that IEBC uses. He talked about and asked if those kits were working and ready. He also brought about the issue of transmission of electoral results. I think we better listen to Moses Kuria.
I'm not the one who impugned the 2017 general election. It is the Supreme Court. And actually, I intend to call the Supreme Court before as a witness. Because until now, the orders to open the servers were never complied with. What IEBC is doing is running after a fly while Rome is burning. Their Rome is really burning. They have got huge issues that should be occupying them. Kenyans should have a reason to worry. If you see people who have got time to waste half a day at a time when, they should be scrabbling for time because there's actually no time. I'm asking for IEBC.
Clearly, from what Raila Amolo Odinga said and from what Junet has said, they are convinced that somebody sponsored the violence in Eldoret yesterday. The CS, Dr. Fred Matiang'i too, has said that investigations are being done or will be done and the culprits will be brought to book. It is important to note that William Samoei Ruto has condemned the violence. It's also important to note that Mandagor, the area governor, has also condemned the violence. And as we move forward, this is a matter that we expect that politicians on the two camps, that is Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, will basically sit together and deal with this issue of electoral violence. On the other hand, you remember what Moses Kuria has brought on board. Moses Kuria stated that the elections in 2017 were basically stolen or rigged. He also stated about the servers, which you've talked about, and he is using that as a defense towards on account of what he had said at the IEBC. You also know that Chebukati himself is the one chairing the tribunal that is investigating not only Moses Kuria, but also Sabina Chege. This same Chebukati has not actually told the general public, as in what really happened in 2017 about the servers' nullification of this election, the presidential election. He's not actually told us anything about the fleeing of a commissioner abroad. And the same Chebukati is actually entrusted by Kenyans, surprisingly, to manage the 2022 general election, which is highly contested by Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. Are we just being funny Kenyans? Are we just doing the same thing, the same way, over and over and expecting different results? Now, this issue of the past is so important for us to know the way forward. You cannot say Chebukati has become a born-again Christian, or he saw an angel last night and whatever happened, shit happens, let's move on. I don't think that is the way to go about it. Chebukati has to be held to account. Even then, if commissioners who are sitting there, Chebukati takes a back seat or an inactive seat in terms of handling and managing of this particular election, at least would have attempted to do something about this current election, so that we don't have a situation where we have fuel on one hand and fire on the other, and all that we need to do is to have an ignition. By fuel, I mean, and fire. Fire, you saw yesterday what happened to Raila Amolo Odinga's helicopter. Those are youths who are ready to bring fire. Basically, they are fire. Now, the basic, on the other side, IEBC and the lack of preparedness or honesty or transparency is basically the fuel. And that is what Moses Kuria was talking about. So all that lacks here, and it can happen anytime, is called ignition. You see? And that will happen depending on what IEBC does, what Chebukati does, and what the commissioner does. Of course, politicians contribute a great deal to the issue of violence in an election. It is not enough to condemn an event and go out there in public and use bad words or things that basically anger voters and supporters or followers to the extent that now they find it necessary, or they think that they are defending someone or their politician by actually meting violence on the opponents. It's not enough for politicians to simply complain or rather condemn this violence. The campaigns are ongoing, and it's important. I've said in the past that politicians should deliberately, like right now, Raila Amolo Odinga is starting his tour in Rift Valley. It is important that the opposing politicians from Kenya Kwanza accompany Raila Amolo Odinga to his rallies and ensure that there is peace. And also, it's very important for the politicians to tone down their rhetoric, especially on the Kenya Kwanza side, to be fair. They need to tone down and not use words that will basically incite the youth and which will result to what we saw yesterday down in Eldoret. I've also similarly said that when William Samoei Ruto goes to Kisumu, the governor of Kisumu, just like we expect the governor, Mr. Mandagor of Uasin Gishu, the governor of Kisumu, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, should go out there and ensure that William Samoei Ruto's campaign is actually smooth and there's no violence, so that, also by being there, obviously the group that accompanies William Samoei Ruto will tone down their rhetoric. So politicians have to play a big role in making sure that we don't have electoral violence again this time round. We are tired of you guys. We are tired. You can not sort out the IEBC. Anytime there's an attempt to sort out the IEBC, you all on both sides bring issues. You know, like early this last year, I think there was an attempt to change the IEBC, composition of the IEBC. There was a lot of maneno from Kenya Kwanza, and it ended up not being done. Right now, we are faced with a situation where Moses Kuria from Kenya Kwanza is bringing the issue of Chebukati in 2017. And now he says that the servers have to be open. He wants to make sure that all those transmission gadgets are working and ready. Too late in the day also. So politicians have not been quite helpful in terms of sorting out the issue of the Electoral Commission. I do not understand why. I really don't know why. It's not possible for us to stop nonsense of having to fight, people having to die every 5 years, and we are doing nothing about it. On that account, I really wish to thank President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga, at least then to attempting the handshake, at least trying the BBI, by the way, which I subscribe to a large extent. I think that there was a committee that the team of Matiang'i had actually composed, and it again turned political. I think that Kenya Kwanza and Azimio should sit with the Minister for Interior and National Security and other parties so that they can ensure that this violence does not escalate, because it has already started. I told you that you have on one hand the fuel, and that is IEBC and Chebukati. And on the other hand, you have the politicians who ignite the youth on the other hand. So these things are ready. We have a complete recipe for a blast. All that remains there is ignition. And that can easily happen on the 8th of August this year if nothing is done moving forward. Do you think this year IEBC is ready to give us a credible election? And politicians too are ready to conduct themselves in a serious and responsible manner in their campaign? Or are we just going to repeat 1992, 2007, and 2017, and all these kind of things that we've had in the past? What do you think? Thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome to Talk to Africa. My name is